Christie here with another scrapbooking process video. This is another layout with elements from the February 2019 Hip Kit Club kit. I saw these papers and was truly inspired by colors and the florals. So first of all, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I hope you like what you see. If you enjoy my videos, then hit the subscribe button, and your likes and thumbs up are always appreciated, and they really help you know, me out by letting YouTube know that people are liking what I'm making. And if you want to be notified when I post a new video, you just click the notification button, which is the little bell, just ding the bell, and it will notify you about new videos. So it's nice and peaceful in my house because school started yesterday, and I finally have a moment to do a little bit of creative time before more mayhem ensues. So I thought I would get started. So these are the papers that inspired me. These are Flower Market by Carta Bella. I really love this black and cream, and these florals just scream to be fussy cut, and then the cut aparts. I'm not a big fan of this side. It's just really bright, but I'm sure in small doses. So, and then I had used a couple of pieces from the chipboard in my last layout, but I really want to use some of these. And then here's the ephemera that also comes in February kits, and I wanted to use some of that. I also cut this cut file, which is one of the free subscriber cut files on the Hip Kit Club website. So if you subscribe, if you go to the cut files tab, you will can go by month, and you can find this under February. So starting there, and not sure what my pictures will be, either this picture from Mother's Day or another engagement photo. So I am going to put you on fast forward, and we'll see how this goes. All right, so I started with this pink background, and I really wanted to use a colored cardstock as my background. And you'll see me add a heart here with gesso, but I just couldn't make it work. I left that to dry, and then I came to paint. I got my stuff out to paint this cut file, which was my intention from the beginning. These are Prima paints that came in a past Hip Kit Club color kit, and I really wanted to use these paints. They're very shimmery on this cut file. So I'm adding the pink first. It's kind of like a corally pink. Then I add this mintish green color, which is my favorite. I let each section dry before I added the others so that they didn't mix. So I add the green here, and then I'll let this dry, and then I add the yellow up in the remaining part. So I did all of this. It was kind of bold. The yellow was really light, so I added some mustard seed, and I just ended up just spraying it with the mustard seed and adding just a little bit of the shimmer on top. So after this dries, I bring it back to my colored cardstock, and I just didn't like it. I was just like not feeling it. So I added white acrylic paint to the top to mute it. I still didn't like it. So I ended up getting this marshmallow basil cardstock out and starting with this. I took my spun sugar Shimmerz dazzlers. It's kind of like a white with a shimmer to it, and I ran it across this stencil. The stencil I was having a hard time with. I couldn't seem to get it from kind of smudging underneath. That's why you see me tape it down with the washi tape. And I'm not sure what was going on, why this stencil kept giving me trouble, but every time I tried to use it, even on a previous layout, it was smudging. So I just wanted a little bit peeking out from underneath the heart, And so I add a little bit to this corner and kind of have a diagonal across the page. I let some of the sections dry so that I wouldn't smudge it, but I still had smudging. So I'm going to use my cut file and run it off of the page here, kind of at an angle. And I go ahead and start gluing it down, and then in the corner where the pink is on the left-hand corner, I end up going back in and adding just a little bit more so that it peeks out on top of that pink section. I use my magnets from my basic gray magnetic sheet, and my We Are Memory Keepers to hold it in place. I do this a lot with my cut files or whatever I need to dry on top of my mixed media, because it kind of holds it down till it's dry. So I added some of the cut aparts to the back of the picture. This wood grain one had a wreath in the middle, kind of like a circle, and I cut that out so that I could use it on another layout, and I end up using it on this layout. This pink piece is from the Project Life Hip Kit Club kit this month. Or no, this is from February. And I had used that on a previous layout, so I wanted to use the rest here. I add some tissue paper to the bottom of to the underneath of the picture. Sorry, it's early. And get that going. So I really like using this tissue paper because it adds a layer of dimension and texture without adding another color. I didn't want to introduce any more colors here because I felt like there was a lot going on. I wanted to add some black and white. That was my intention from the beginning. So I start adding some here underneath the picture. I cut this frame in half. I cut out the phrase that says "so many reasons I love this," I think it says. And my intention again was to use it on another page, but I end up using it here on this page. I wanted to use the gather from the Carta Bella chipboard sheet, and that was the element of black. So I wanted to get more little kind of sporadic shots of black in here. Here I'm adding some more. I added some more black by cutting another frame, and now I'm adding all these fussy cut flowers. I love adding things like this underneath my picture to add dimension. I use some of the chipboard from the Carta Bella to add more florals with a different texture, and I just keep adding and, you know, kind of moving things around until I like it. Here you see me cutting out this, fussy cutting this frame that I cut from that wood grain card, which is behind the picture. And I also cut out this that says "Happy Day" to use on the picture. This chipboard piece gets moved all around the page, and I end up really liking where it lands in the end. Here I am fussy cutting that little phrase out and adding it to the corner of the picture. I really struggle with moving all of these florals around. I felt like I couldn't get it right, so I just kept adding and adding. Here you see me adding a black and white little frame underneath. It's the other side of the cut apart one that I put on the right. That's where I end up sticking that floral wreath in the corner. And I'm just adding things here and there. I really like that little chipboard piece on the right side, no, the left side of the picture. And I put some dimensional foam underneath. It's just fun foam from Walmart that I cut apart. It has sticky on one side. It's really cheap. I ended up putting more on the bottom because the picture was higher than that, and it was kind of creating this weird kind of fold down element that I didn't want. So here I'm adding more and more florals, kind of getting everything stuck down. I use Scotch Quick Dry in this fine liner bottle, and it works great. You know, I just hold it down, or I use the magnets that I showed you before, and I use those to hold the element down so it can dry while I work on other parts of the layout. So here I'm adding some dimensional foam to the back and getting my picture where I want it stuck down. There's the little piece of foam. I keep all my little tiny pieces in that little bowl. I actually got that from Dollar Tree. So if they're really small, I keep them in there. so that I can just pull out a little piece if I need to add it to an embellishment or something. So I'm placing my title. The Gather is from the Carta Bella chipboard sheet, and the Memories is from Pink Fresh Joyful Day. And I really like how that works together. The little Lovely piece is also from Carta Bella. So I just put those down. I don't end up gluing them in place just yet. Just kind of trying to get everything else glued down. And I am a fiddler, so I just will mess around with a page, and little elements I'll move all around the page to the point where I drive myself crazy before I commit. So you'll see me move a flower from top to bottom. I'll move some of these die cut pieces from the Carta Bella line all over the place. I'll put some at the top, I'll move them down, I'll take them off. And a lot of that stuff ends up not even making it onto the layout. But that's just how I scrapbook, which is why it takes me forever to do a layout. And this layout seemed to take me longer. There was a lot of stuff going on, just life stuff. We actually had a leak in our house, and school started last week, so it's just been crazy. So this page I've been working on for quite a bit, and for a while that pink was throwing me off until I decided to just let it go and move on, and then it kind of started working a little bit better. All right, so I'm just putting this Lovely piece on. There's that Truly Wondrous again. Yeah, so here I'm adding some of the black and white stripe to the back, and this is how I end up using or distressing tops and bottoms. I don't like cutting the paper first, because then I feel like I don't get it back to the 12 by 12 size. So I take the paper, I just put adhesive on the bottom of that pattern paper and let the top kind of flap open so that I can cut and tear and distress, and then I'll add glue later. And then I take a little tiny strip, a thin strip, and put it down at the bottom. I distress the top with my close to my heart edge distresser, and then I glue it to the bottom. And I end up adding a cluster on the bottom right after I finished distressing this. I just kept messing with it. I just didn't like how it was angled, so I ended up cutting more and distressing more, and so yeah. Excuse me. Here I am adding that, finally, that Truly Wondrous piece finds a home in the corner on the right hand side. And I like how it brings that element of black and white dimension to the bottom of the page. So I add one of the cut apart flowers as well, and then I end up adding this Happy Days piece that I had cut out from the frame before to the bottom as well. So just gluing things down, getting it situated, my lovely tweezers that are kind of getting junked up on the end, and putting that in place. I love that creates that element of black at the bottom. I end up reaching over and getting some of my enamel dots and putting a black one in the corner. Here I am with that stinking die cut again. I just kept moving that around. I like the wood grain. I thought I wanted to add an element of wood grain, and then I just end up taking it off. And now that I look at it, it's not like it's totally bad. I just don't know. I just kept moving it and moving it. So I'm adding more flowers to kind of come out more on that gather word, to try to, you know, incorporate that as like it flows right into the page or the picture. Just adding some glue as I see things popping up. Let's see. Oh, my magnets. Yeah, I put my magnets across the gather so that it would hold it down. I end up adding, let's see, I believe I add one of the Pink Fresh puffy leaves to the right hand side of the picture, and that adds a little bit more of that mint carried over. Oh, there's that bloom and grow again. Okay, so this is a paper clip in the previous video that I ripped the little top off the bird, And I ended up saving the paper clip, and here I'm using it as a dimensional element on top of the picture, and I just used the cut pieces from the floral paper to add to the top and create that little piece. So I add my journaling here at the bottom and use my T-square ruler to make sure it's straight, otherwise it would be crooked and it would drive me nuts. So I add all of the strips here. I just print my journaling out on a plain piece of cardstock that I keep from Michael's, and I cut it out in strips and just put it on my layout like that. And I just use a Word document, nothing fancy. So I'm adding all of the journaling pieces here, and then I end up going back and adding some more black enamel dots because that one dot is just sticking out to me. So I added more by the yellow flowers above gather, and then tucked behind the floral wreath chipboard there by the picture. I added my date with my Felicity Jane's date stamp, and then here's the finished product. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about any of the elements, just leave them below and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and then here's some close-ups. Thanks so much and have a great day.